Hi, I'm Steve. You can call me Steve. Welcome to my parents' driveway. I have spent many hours shoveling the snow off this growing up. And all that time I wondered, surely there's an easier way of doing this. Wouldn't it be simpler just to melt it all? This question actually comes from somebody on Twitter, and I really wished I had favorited that post because I've completely forgotten who you are. So if this is you, please let me know down in the comments so I can acknowledge you properly. So, does it take less energy just to melt the snow off the driveway than it does to physically shovel it? Well, we're kind of talking about two different types of energy. On the one, it's the food energy I burn wielding the shovel. The other is just heat applied to melt the snow. So there's a fair amount of math that goes into this one. And the first one is how long it actually takes to shovel the driveway, which I will now do. I will meet you on the other side. But first, there's a brief digression I want to show you. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about various types of snow, and I talked about packed powder, which was really hard to scrape off a driveway with a plastic shovel. And this is what it looks like. You can see next to it, I have actual powder. It's nice and light and fluffy. And then we have some that my mother has driven on, and it's packed down. This one comes off easily. If it gets a chance to refreeze, it never comes off till spring. All right, I will see you on the other side. All right, that took me 20 minutes. Because I started before the snow had stopped falling, it's already starting to accumulate back at the top again. It wasn't a hugely efficient process. If you're watching this in California or Australia or someplace where snow happens to other people, you're going to learn something about snow shoveling today. If you're watching it in California and you moved there from Wisconsin, this may bring back some painful memories. I'm sorry. So it took me 20 minutes, but if the snow is deep enough and it's light and powdery enough, you end up doing the same snow more than once. This is my shovel. I've been calling it a shovel, but it's not really a shovel. It's more of a pusher. So I'm not using it to dig the snow out. I'm using it to push it across the driveway and then pile it up into this pile. So if the snow is deep and fluffy enough, it ends up falling over the side of the pusher, which means I have to go back and get the bit that spilled out. So, yeah, that takes 2 or 3 times. I also need to know how much snow I moved. So I estimate the driveway is 3 meters wide and about 20 meters long. It's a bit longer than your average driveway because we live in a fairly rural area and the houses and the lots are a lot bigger. I'm using metric values because I'm a Canadian scientist. If you're American, I will add your units in as we go. So I've got all the data I need out here. So now it's time to go do some math. It's okay. It's not scary. I'll be with you. I will see you inside. All right, I'm back inside where it's warm. First thing I need to know is how much snow I moved. I said outside that the driveway was 20 meters long, 3 meters wide, and the snow was 7.5 centimeters deep. That gives us a volume of 4.5 cubic meters. I looked up the density of newly fallen snow, and based on that, I determined that the mass of snow was, where'd that go? 270 kilograms, which seems like a lot, but if you're only doing it 1 scoop at a time, I guess it adds up quickly. Somebody of my size doing light aerobic exercise like snow shoveling burns 266 calories in 30 minutes. Those are food calories. Food calories are kind of esoteric. Need to relate them to something that's a little more understandable. This mug of hot apple cider contains 90 calories. So in 20 minutes, I burned 2 mugs. So the other option is just to apply heat directly and melt the snow. So we're assuming that we are 100% efficient in doing this and that none of this heat is wasted. To melt a kilogram of snow, it takes about 80% of a food calorie to melt 1 kilo. So if the amount of snow I had out there, it will require 2.4 of these mugs of hot, tasty apple cider. And that's before we factor in inefficiency. So in reality, it would take more. So as much as wearisome as it is far more efficient to shovel the driveway than just to melt the snow directly. Plus, you get some aerobic workout. The other thing people don't consider is what happens after the melting is done. So you've melted all the snow, it's liquid, you go back inside, but it's still below freezing out there. All that melted snow is going to refreeze again, and you've just turned your driveway into a skating rink. That's not accounting for all of the meltwater that's run down your driveway into the street and turn your street into a skating rink unbeknownst to everybody driving by. It's probably best just not to do that for all concerned. Thank you for watching this rather unorthodox video and putting up with my stumbles and misstarts because I am working a cappella with no script. I've been Steve.